Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Tilson Live. It is Tuesday. It is 2 o'clock. We are coming at you live on Facebook, live on YouTube, as we do almost every Tuesday, except the last two, to answer all your questions about building a new home on your land. I am one of your hosts, gracious host, Eric Allard, part of the fourth generation of the Tilson family, joined, thank God, as I am each and every single week, unless I'm not, by the great, the marvelous, the masterful Dawn Dantzler. Welcome, Dawn.
Hey, Eric, how's it going?
It's going great. It's going wonderful. Spring is in full swing. We got all kinds of happy things. We got crawfish season going on. There's proms. There's graduations. Spring is in the air. It is a wonderful time.
There's pollen.
There's lots of pollen. I have my Flonase and Zyrtec and Visine at the ready at all times, because you never know. Is it going to be cedar? Is it going to be oak? Is it going to be pine? Who knows? Who knows what's going to be? So we keep it on edge. But do jump in, folks. Drop into the chat where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process you are in. We want to hear from you. We are live on Tilson Tuesday on YouTube, live on Facebook, to talk about all things building a custom home on your land. That's all we've ever done. That's all we do. Show's brought to you by Tilson Homes. They would pay us whether we did this or not. Maybe. I don't know. They pay you. I'm not sure they pay me. But nonetheless, we want to hear from you folks there. This is the time for you to ask all those burning, tingling questions about what you should expect, what you should be afraid of, nothing, and anything that you might have any ideas about, whether it's customization, financing, site preparation, design questions. We are here to answer every single one of those. We can talk about interest rates, about mortgages. We can talk about tariffs. We can talk about anything you guys want to talk about, as long as Dawn allows it, because she keeps on a pretty short leash, which is wise. So do drop into the chat where you're watching from, where you are building, and what part of the process you are in. We don't care if you're just now thinking this might be a thing that you and your family do one day, but you're not sure. Great place to start. Maybe you have kind of started down the path and you're still looking at plans, but you've engaged us on the website or on social media and you've got some questions. Maybe you have your land already and you're like, hey, I specifically need to know about this thing here, the septic, the culvert, the well, the permit, the whatever. Ask us that. Maybe you are in process and you can shed some wisdom on your fellow community about all the things they need to know and what worked well for you. And maybe you've already been here and done that, and you're sitting there with your sweet tea on the couch watching us, just enjoying that space that you're already making memories in. Maybe you had an Easter weekend. Maybe you had an Easter egg hunt out there. Maybe there's still eggs out there that no one found. It's possible. These things are all possible. You did give up after a certain amount of time. But dude, drop into the chat where you're watching from, where you're building, part of the process you are in. And then Dawn is going to tell us exactly what we are talking about today.
Yeah, absolutely. So today we are doing Eric's favorite topic. So we are doing the Ask Us Anything about building on your land. So this episode is all about you guys. So whatever burning questions you have about any of those topics that Eric was talking about, it is a game of Stump Eric and Dawn. So try to ask us things we don't know. We like it. We've got our phones at the ready to phone friends and Teams message people and get you all the answers that you're looking for. But we are just here to talk about whatever questions you guys have.
Actually, a good thing to point out there is that we don't have all the answers. Beautiful part about Tilson Homes, we have access to the greatest Rolodex in the history of build on your lot building, which is the Tilson team. That's going to be behind building your home anyway. So at the ready, I can pick up this phone, dial or text in this case, any number of construction personnel, warranty personnel, drafting, cost management, accounting. If you're really interested, I can do that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
And that's what we do for you throughout the process. So if we don't have the answer, we'll find the answer. We'll call the county. We'll call your HOA. We'll call the city. We'll call a surveyor. We'll call the commissioner's court. We'll call whatever we have to do to get the answer.
100%. I can see we've got a couple of people joining us from YouTube. Anybody watching on Facebook, if you can give me a shout, just so I know you guys are there. We've got Yarb watching from Westlake, Texas.
Oh, very cool.
And then we've got Sophia saying hello from San Antonio. Just finished paying off our land in Bernie, Texas. Oh, that's awesome.
Let's ring the Dave Ramsey bell, right? Let's do that.
And Yarb says, congrats on that, Sophia. So very cool. That's amazing.
Very nice.
All ready to go.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So do drop into the chat again where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process you are in, and we're going to kick it off. We have some questions that we already know are burning in people's minds. They happen all the time, so we can answer those. But any questions you have about the process, about design, about financing, about do I need a construction drive? What is a culvert? How does the septic system work? Do I need a permit for it? When does it go in? Who helps that? Who decides on how far my utilities are going to be away? How do I contact the power company? These are all part of the process that we can help you with every single step of the way. So we want to hear from you. So ask those questions.
Awesome. Well, let's see. We've got Lacey chiming in from Facebook
Thank you,
saying,
Lacey.
hey. Thank you, Lacey. We got Deborah saying, watching from Clear Lake City, building in Johnson City. Framing is complete. House wrap going on. Process
nice.
to date has been beyond expectation in all areas.
Oh, that's great
awesome.
to hear.
Thank
you,
you.
Deborah.
And then we've got Rob and Alicia coming in from Germany. Hey, Rob. Good to see you again.
Yeah. Awesome.
We got Caitlin saying, are there any financing options if you don't own the land? So we've got family land with a 99-year lease versus subdividing to purchase a lot to purchase.
That's a great question. So I'm assuming we're talking about, Caitlin, is that your family does own the land, but they've got like a trust or a lease set up where, hey, kind of anybody can have an undivided interest. There are some avenues for that. You have to get permission from anybody who has access to that 99-year lease. They have to give permission for this to happen. Depending on how it's written, they may actually have to sign certain documents on it. The other option would be if they wanted to separate part of that off for a house, which we've seen that done a number of times. It's like, hey, it's a permanent structure. Like it's a slab, a roof, a frame, a house. Like it's not a mobile home. It's going to be here. So can we all agree that this will be our 2 acres or 4 acres or whatever? We've seen it work that way as well. But yeah, there are some financing options still. Get charged probably a little bit higher interest rate because there's a little bit more risk associated with that. But yeah, I've seen that done on the 9-acre, and usually they're renewable leases as well. So
okay,
usually
awesome. All right, we've got Denise coming in from Pearland, building a Canyon D in Chapel Hill. Started clearing last week, and hopefully the culvert set this week and well drilled next week.
Oh wow,
right, we're moving. Awesome,
Denise. Thanks. Keep us posted. Send pictures.
Yeah. And we've got Michael watching from Arizona, have land in Bexar County, trying to decide on a model and a preliminary estimate or explanation on cost of changes to your plans.
Okay. Well, how does that work, Don? How does he find that information out?
So Michael, if you go to our website, which you're going to see there when you're going to pick Bexar County, and it'll show the starting prices for all of our homes in that area. And that starting price that you're looking at is the base floor plan. So the plan as it, generally comes before you make any changes. The range that you'll see is the variance in the cost for the exterior elevation. So depending upon what's going on with the outside of the home, we're using different materials. You might have larger porches. So that's what you're seeing on our website as far as the price difference is. From there, you can actually play on our website with our interactive floor plans and add things in some cases, take things out. As far as the cost of those changes are, it's going to be the actual cost for the construction of those changes. So you can play on our website. But those custom options that are pre-programmed in there are not the only things that we can do. So if you want to do, add additional square footage or pull in a kitchen from one plan, put it in another, we can do all that for you. There is no charges from us for actually doing the design on the plans. All you're going to pay for us is the actual cost of construction. So our team is fully equipped to go ahead and calculate out, how much per square foot it is to add in additional area, or, what price is that island? I want to add a cabinet. It's just the price of the cabinet. There's no charge for the design process. If that makes sense.
Super simple. Thanks, Michael.
All right. We've got Renata watching from New Braunfels, hoping to build later this year in Canyon Lake. Can a cathedral be added to the Fayetteville with the bonus?
That's a tough one. We would need it. So not as it sits, no, because that bonus room is directly on top of the family room. Mm-hmm. However, that being said, if you keep the garage like we have it done on the Fayetteville, there could be a way that you could skirt around like kind of where that media room is, and make that. So your cathedral might start a little further back in the family room and then go on out. If we get the bonus and theater room more over that garage area, that is a possibility. So I'm not going to say it cannot be done, but in its current configuration, like the way we have the model build, if you go to those pictures, you can't do it that way because the bonus is directly on top of the family room.
Okay, makes sense. We've got Adam watching on Facebook down in Karnes City, Kennedy, Texas area. Land has been purchased, just trying to put it all together and hopefully soon.
Oh, very
Awesome.
cool. Yeah.
Well,
That's a
let us
great
know if we
spin.
can
Yeah.
answer any questions for you to help you get started. Let's see. We've got Isolde and Karen. Howdy. Just done with our colors, final review and soil testing, and very excited on the next step for Arlington B in Fort Bend County. Thank you to Ashley, David, and Dylan from your Katy office. We can say they're like family. By the way, lots of people are taking pictures of the Tilson sign on our land, so very excited. Oh, that's awesome.
All right. That's great.
That's awesome. All right. And Rob is asking, does Tilson service their home warranty or do you contract that out?
Rob.
That's an excellent question, Rob.
Gold star for you. You win the internet today so far. But there's still like 45 minutes left in the show, so anything can happen. All right. So warranty, very important. I was actually on a call earlier this morning about with some other builders about warranty stuff. So the state of Texas requires a 10-year structural warranty, 2-year mechanical, so your HVAC, your plumbing, your electrical, and then a 1-year workmanship, so kind of a brick to brick or bumper to bumper, if you will, warranty on everything you can kind of see, touch, feel inside the house, your sheetrock cracks, tile cracks, all that kind of good stuff. And yes, Tilson is very rare in that we have our own customer care department, our own warranty department. So we have a vice president of customer care, Christy Reyes. She's got field techs that work under her. She's got customer service techs that work under her that take phone calls. And they are Tilson employees, full-time W-2 Tilson employees. That's their job, is to make sure that you guys get taken care of. So you call Tilson's number, a Tilson employee answers that phone, and we have our own field techs, and the Tilson employee shows up at your Tilson home, not some third-party contractor. Now, that being said, if it is something that, like if it's HVAC related, like your AC is not working, we're not going to send one of our field techs to go out there and say, yep, turns out it's hot in here, we should send an AC company out. We're going to kind of bypass that and send the HVAC company that we have that service agreement with that did the installation and send them. They're on the hook there with us. Same thing with your electrical and your plumbing. But all other items that you see or talk about, it is going to be a Tilson employee that shows up and starts the documentation, takes those photographs, does the repairs. Like that's what we do. So we make sure that our customers are taken care of. We're not worried. We're at the mercy of some third-party contractor that, hey, whenever you get done framing these 3 houses or roofing these 12 houses or painting these 7 houses, we need you to go ahead and take care of this one too. Like our customers that have paid us money and are living in their homes, they are a priority. So we owe it to them, to you guys, to show up and do that work in an expeditious manner. So that's why we have our own team that does that. They're trained to do that. Great question.
Yeah, you're still our customer after you've purchased that home and you've moved in and you've given us the money. You're still our customer. So we're going to come out and make sure everything's right. All right. And we've got Denise sharing that they saw another Tilson sign around the corner from their lot in the neighborhood. Awesome. So you have smart neighbors. We're very excited.
More Washington County folks. That's great.
That's great.
Very, very cool. Yeah, do keep dropping your questions in the chat, folks. Want to hear every single one of them. These have been great questions so far. If you got more questions about financing, more questions about site preparation, questions about what comes next in the process, whether that's on the design and color selection part or site evaluation or the construction phase or warranty, wherever you might find yourself, ask us those questions. If you're just now looking at pieces of property, we can help you with that too. We want to talk about those. So drop those questions into the chat.
All right, let's see. We've got Adam asking, see that there are now 2 new Barndo plans on the site. Have there been any built or plans to push these options more in the near future? Notice there are no virtual tours or other options for these yet.
What do you got, Dawn?
So yeah, we do have the 2 Barndo plans. We do have, each of those does have custom options that you can play with on the website. But no, we've not done any virtual tours or have any of them completed yet. But that is something that we can look to work on. But there are a lot of options for those 2 plans within the interactive floor plans. And like I mentioned, that it is something, if you want to bring in, we can make whatever changes you like. So if there's something in there that you're looking for that's a little bit different, just come in and talk to one of our consultants and we can change those up for you.
And we'd be happy to.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice.
We can talk about that a little bit. What is a Barndo? What is a Barndominium? I say Barndominium, Don. What does that mean to you?
So I would put that in the group of it's almost become a term kind of like if somebody tells you they want a contemporary home or a modern home. Like it means a lot of different things to different people. So where Barndo's came from is it was people generally are talking about a metal building. That is, combination of your house as well as your workshop and your garage space.
Yes,
So
your tractors live with you.
yeah, your tractors live with you. There's walls in between, but yeah, your tractors live with it. So basically they're doing almost a like standard construction, but inside of a metal building to create a residence within that space. So you typically see very high ceilings, things like that, and large garages. But it's one of those terms that's kind of evolved, and it's just almost a style of farmhouse now. So to some people, it's a house that looks like a barn. To others, they're still talking about the metal building with the walls inside. So it really just means different things to different people. Our Barndos are going to be, typical construction, so typical Tilson construction. So we're not doing there's not a metal exterior. It is going to be true construction, but the two that Adam was mentioning do come with extremely large garages. I think one of them actually has a 4-car garage. And we've incorporated options in there, like to turn that garage into an RV garage, to add a loft inside on the interior so that you can have more living space. But it's a very cool way to live. You have really, really tall ceilings and just a really, cool classic.
I've seen barndominium plans advertised that have no garage whatsoever. It's literally a house and a porch. Like that's a farmhouse.
That's a farmhouse, yeah.
Not a barndominium. Like
I've seen a lot advertised that are do it yourself with like really, really low prices because it's empty.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's an idea.
It is an idea. It definitely is an idea.
Very cool.
We've got Julie from Johnson County. She built a live oak bee. Loves her Tilson home in the process. Oh, thank you, Julie. It's good to see you again.
I think I saw an email recently with her on there, perhaps.
Yeah.
Like today.
Yeah. Might have been yesterday.
Maybe. Depends on my Hotmail or Tilson account.
We got Celine saying she's got a Canyon C. She's asking about the Canyon C plan. Can we extend the pantry size to make it bigger?
The answer is yes. You absolutely can. Depending on if you're going with the alternate kitchen or the kitchen that's built in the stock plan, either way, that pantry can be extended. You could either, if it's in the stock plan, you actually extend it. So it's kind of where the utility room is on the front of the home. You can extend it out there to the right. Or if it were an our model home, it would be to the left. In that case, it's reversed. Or you can also extend it into the study if you want to give a little bit of space into the study for that. You could do that. But yeah, it can extend very easily to the right in front of that utility room. No problem at all.
Awesome. We've got Jen saying, hey, Tilson fan. Hey, Jen.
Hello, Jen.
And then we got Rob saying, we're building the Fredericksburg and noticed that the price went up recently. We plan on signing when we visit home in July, but are worried about another increase. How often do you change pricing?
Wonderful question, Rob. So pricing typically changes quarterly, which is when we get updated pricing from vendors and suppliers. So we don't always change it, by the way, but when we get hit with a certain percentage amount of increases, we don't have a lot of choice but to increase those prices that cost what it costs. They won't deliver the materials for the same price we had an agreement on. We get updated on pricing sometimes monthly. For sure, our lumber pricing is updated monthly. We feel like that's way too chaotic to try, both for the customers and for the sales team to try and keep up with. And lumber's not the only thing that's priced monthly. Like we have a number of items that change much more frequently than quarterly, but quarterly is kind of a good cadence that we feel like is a fair shake for both prospects and for our sales team to be able to kind of keep up with. So July would be the beginning of Q3. Is that right? Still? I work for a privately traded company, so a private company.
Yeah, April, May, June. So yeah, July.
We don't live quarter to quarter, so I always have to count. I take my shoes off. But so July would be the next time, but your sales consultant could probably make a phone call or two to our cost management team, to Justin or Chris or any of those team over there, and be able to know, hey, is it going up, and if so, how much? And that way, if you did want to, if you could kick it off the last week of June. That might be a good idea. So,
okay. All right. We've got Ed saying hello from Seattle, flying in this week, and we'll be touring the Bernie office over the coming weekend with our sales consultant, Kimberly.
Oh,
awesome.
Wonderful. You'll love it.
Yes. I was there last week. It's very lovely. And then Selena's asking, could there be a price reduction as well? Yes, actually, there could be. So we, like Eric was mentioning, it's something that we review quarterly, and we're just right pricing our homes based on what we're getting from our vendors and our, our suppliers and our subcontractors. So if prices went down, we would reduce prices as well, and sometimes we do that. I think actually the last quarterly update that we did was a reduction.
Yeah. In some counties, so it does vary.
Yeah, in some counties, that's the thing. All of our pricing is done by county, so it's going to depend. Then Denise is saying, do you foresee any issues with getting lumber or other supplies with the tariff concerns?
That might be a gold star too. We're going to
Yeah,
star for now, but it's pushing gold. All right, Denise, great question. And the answer is, as it stands right now, no. So, and I know that because I will dig deep into the bowels of the internet to find truth. I'll stop just short of the dark web, only because it's slow. But
it also gets you on a different list, and you don't want to be on that.
I'm on that list. Don't you worry about that. I'm already on that list. But all that to say, there are thousands, and that is not an exaggeration. There are thousands of items that are exempted from tariffs. You won't find that in the news because it's hard to explain that in a 8-second blurb on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, CBS News, fill in the blank. But there truly are thousands. For example, petroleum products. So anything made of petroleum is currently exempted from tariffs. That would be plastic, that would be PVC pipe, that would be crude oil. Those are all exempted currently. Semiconductors, all exempted presently. Copper, totally exempted presently. So there's a number of things that lumber is exempted presently. So there's a number of things that you won't be able to hear about in the legacy media, wherever you get your news from, because it's very difficult to explain. You have to actually read the whole article and then maybe have to check sources from that article to get the whole truth. But all that to say, we have been notified of some increases due to tariffs, because there really are some things like HVAC components. Some of those are truly going to go up, but we have been notified of zero scarcity incident. Is that the last vendor management report you read? Like there's no scarcity items. It's all just
no, there was nothing.
No, it's not an issue. So
again, that was only an issue during COVID just because of the volume that was being asked for. So I don't see any issues on getting the supplies. Even the things that are subject to tariffs, it's not going to be hard to get them. They just might cost us more.
Right, that's a great point. Yeah, the companies learned a very valuable lesson during COVID, and that is you better be really in tune with your supply chain. You better have really good, solid relationships with people up the chain of your supply chain. Nobody wants to get caught in that mess again. So inventories have been built up. People don't mind. They're not scared to sell a little bit of stock these days. And if they don't have it, they can get it from somebody who does, who has maybe a bigger appetite for that risk. And that's how that will play out. But as it stands presently, there hasn't been anything that we've been notified we're not going to get a hold of because of tariffs. Also, we don't buy a whole ton of stuff from a lot of the other countries. So it just doesn't, it's not like India was one of the first ones to kind of concede. And that's a lot of the steel. Most of the steel comes from the U.S. already, but some comes from India, and they capitulated pretty quick. And so that was already a moot point to start with. That was really the only thing we were ever really concerned about, was being able to get steel, and that's a non-issue.
Well, the semiconductors for appliances were a little bit of a concern.
Yeah, right until they got exempted.
Yeah. Then we were like, okay, we good. Because that's in everything. That would be a big deal.
It is everything.
All right, awesome. We've got Angela saying hi from Kima, jumping on the pantry extension train. Is there a difference in possibly expanding into the master versus expanding into the garage?
So on the canyon?
Yeah, on the canyon, I'm not seeing where we could go. She might be talking about a different plan.
Angela, drop in the chat which plan you're referring to.
Oh, sorry, she's building a bear. She did. Oh. Sorry. So she's doing a bear B.
Someone say, yeah, no problem. Sight unseen.
Oh, yeah, you could do that. Not a problem.
Yeah, no doubt about
it. For anybody who's following along at home and doesn't have all of our plans memorized like we do, this is what we're looking at.
Well, I have memorized by their old names, so not very reliable.
So she's asking if we could, if you wanted to take the pantry here and bring it into this space, you could do that. Not a problem at all.
Which, by the way, if you're considering a barn dominium, great plan to look at right here.
Yeah, this is also a great plan to look at if you're one of the people who just wants that look and you're not concerned about having like this super large garage space. This is a good one to start with.
Oh, you can put a massive garage on that left side. Slap the washer and dryer on the other side of the utility room.
You can. I know. As I was saying that, I was like, actually, I think we put one on here that was like the same size as the house.
We had a bear that we built. The garage was every bit of the size of the bear floor plan.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah,
it was a great feat. All righty. I'll take that, get that out of the way. And then we've got Michael asking, do you offer any plans with wraparound porches? And if so, what plan? Our property is lakefront and large porches are paramount.
So I'm going to say almost any plan can do a wraparound porch. Ones that stand out to me immediately, the Granbury is a great one. It's a 2-story plan that has a beautiful wraparound front porch. I don't know that if your lake property, if the front or the back of the home faces the lake, that would be interesting to know. You say it's lakefront, but I don't know if it's a lake view, like you're looking at your front porch down to the lake, or if you go out the back of the house and you're looking at the lake. Either way, we can do the wraparound porches. It's a matter of, where do you want to spend the money? How many places can you be at one time? But we've done several for customers that do wraparound, and it doesn't have to wrap around 12 feet, right? I mean, you can have a 10 to 18 foot section that's directly off the fender in the back, and then it wraps around maybe 5 or 6 feet to one side where maybe the view of the lake is. So that'd be something that we can work out with you on a design standpoint, and just kind of, hey, where are the views and where do you want to spend the money and what's the roof line going to look like? Because my opinion, historically, just wrapping an 8-foot porch all the way around the house is not money well spent. Like, you could spend your money in other places, personally.
Yeah, I think we have like one tour of a home that we did that it was a Gonzalez, and they actually did they went down just one side, and got the same effect with it, much more cost effective than wrapping the whole house.
We get the upfront cost of that, which you get. We'll be glad to do it if that's what you want to do. But also, you're taxed on covered porch as well. Your property taxes will reflect that forever. But again, it's how important it is to you, not to us. So we can do anything you want to do.
Yep, absolutely. Awesome. Well, these are great questions, guys. Keep dropping them in there.
Do that.
And I know there's a few people who'd been asking for a while about new plans, and something else that happened at the beginning of the quarter is we did launch the new woodland plan. So that is an updated version of our San Jacinto. So if you guys had a chance to check that out, it is a really cool plan that we updated and offered. So
it's an amazing house. Do go check it out. It took all the things that people were doing to the San Jacinto. We kind of shuffled that deck, incorporated that into the woodland, and it's a stellar plan. So check that out, and all its custom options.
Yes, absolutely.
Speaking of where the San Jacinto sits, it has a new little
a new neighbor.
It has a new neighbor. So the Brazoria, very close to being like 100% completed. I was actually just meeting with Hunter about. He's not actually here, but he was sitting right there. He was right there. But meet with him about some of the landscaping stuff that they're doing to it. So, which is short to say, he was asking for more money for more trees. What that means, he wasn't just filling me in on magnolia trees. I'm indifferent, but really beautiful. Because I know that Results Tree and Landscaping will be at the helm, so no worries there. Shout out to Chris Pixler. Amazing at what he does with that. So that'll be wrapping up, and then also the Cisco up in Weatherford.
Yep.
Winding to completion. So very exciting, awesome plant, great back covered porch, massive. They did the sliding big, 12-foot patio door that goes out. So really, really beautiful. Yeah. It helps that we have like tons of live oak trees at that location. So you just kind of really find yourself in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. And we actually designed a new master bathroom layout for that one as well. So that you would see that updated in the plan. But yeah, that model is coming right along as well. And both of them were supposed to, I think the Brazoria is actually getting its furniture this week. And the Cisco is supposed to get it in a couple weeks. We've got to get a few things we need to do up there.
Who doesn't love furniture shopping?
Yeah. Super fun when you can hire other people to do it, and you just look at the little presentations that they show you online. You're like, that looks great. And let's see. And Twilight Stitcher is asking, I noticed the Sonora. Is that new or am I late to the party? It's been out for a little while, but that also is an awesome plan. It's actually an update of the Fredericksburg, which is our model that we have in Katy, but it did a few things. We went ahead and gave it, same thing with the Woodland, like the San Jacinto and the Fredericksburg are both amazing plans. But if you're looking for a large pantry, neither one is gonna bring that to you. But both the Sonora and the Woodland come with massive pantries. So that is really good plan. So it's newer, but it's been out a little bit longer.
Yeah.
All right. We've got Fernando saying we're building a home with Tilson Homes in Bexar County. We already had the stakeout done. According to our rep, we are waiting on building permits. Do you know how long the permit process takes in Bexar?
Oh, that is a great question, Fernando. Thank you for asking. So it would depend. I'm just going to kind of peek real quick to see if you are inside the city of San Antonio or not. If you're inside the city of San Antonio, sorry, nothing I'm going to say is relevant. So, however,
cities are a whole nother beast.
If you are outside the city of San Antonio, but just in unincorporated, Bexar County, Texas, which there's less and less and less and less and less of, that it's not as bad. I'm going to assume we didn't have to do any kind of a replat or anything like that. So as long as that's the case, it's not I've seen it take as long as 60 days or so. That's really on the high end for Bexar County, unless there is a replat involved. If there's a replat involved, it is a little bit different animal. That can take months. But I'm not seeing that necessarily. So you're in the kind of Mountain View acres.
He says he is inside San Antonio.
Okay, well then in that case, it's going to take a minute. Although nothing like Austin or Houston or some of the others. I mean, you're probably looking. I would give it the 60 to 90 day mark. If it happens in 30 days, that's fantastic. But if it's in 60 to 90 days, I wouldn't be shocked at that. And they may come back to us with some revisions that they want. That's not uncommon at all. It literally changes week to week in the city of San Antonio. And I hate to say that. I'm not picking on the city. But in a lot of cases, truly the right hand knows what the left hand is doing. And so I regret that for the citizens of San Antonio, but it's a large city. It's fast growing. And so there's a lot of bureaucracy that gets in the way of that. But don't be shocked if it takes somewhere between 60 and 90 days to get a permit pulled. Again, house before that, fantastic. One thing that can help with that is anything that they come back at us with. Obviously, your consultant or our site evaluation representative will get with you immediately. Anything that they ask you for, like just as quickly as possible, get it to them. Not that you wouldn't already. I get it, but it's just it is sometimes that's where it starts to drag out a little bit. Is we have a hard time getting things back to the city revisions they require. But
and then you're risking there's somebody new looking at it and they're looking at the whole thing again instead of just
say,
what they asked
they
for.
forgot to ask this. They forgot to ask that. So.
Absolutely. Okay, awesome. And then Angela's asking, what suggestions do you have to eliminate the dead space between cabinet top and ceilings?
Cabinets. Cabinets is one. I mean, I'm going to defer. Actually, I'll defer to Dawn. This is a design question.
That is actually what I was going to say. I'm a big fan of cabinets because I believe that you could never have too much storage space. So depending upon what all you have to display, if just doing a regular cabinet that's taller, just with the standard cabinet door is lovely. If you've got a lot of things that you might want to display that you don't pull down, that often glass cabinets with lighting in them.
Beautiful Smoky Moe's plastic
Yes,
cup,
like your Smoky Moe's, or all the
not the Smoky Moe's, good Tilson customer. We endorse eating at Smoky Moe's.
Depending upon which era you got married in, if you have the vase collection or the bowl collection or the all the various collections of
what Lennox do you have?
Like which Lennox thing did you get? That was which Waterford crystal do you have? Those are good to put up there if you've got do some glass cabinets up there with some lighting. That can be really pretty. But yeah, I'm a big fan of cabinets.
So that is the slam dunk, but probably the least cost effective way to do it. Another way is we've seen a lot of people put their own area correct things up there. So, for example, if you're in Waco and you want to put a Baylor thing, a Dublin Dr. Pepper Museum, a Texas Rangers thing, like that kind of artwork too, that's just kind of like, oh, that's cool. Because the reality is, not disclosing Dawn's height, she's not getting.
Oh, it's not coming down. No, I don't use any of that stuff, Eric.
Never getting up there. It's not happening.
It's currently in that cabinet over the fridge that you can't reach. Like it's just, yeah.
And the step stool's not going to get it done. You're going to need a ladder. A ladder. Most of our homes with a 9-foot ceiling in there, or 10-foot ceiling, you're going to need a ladder. These are not going to be easily accessible things. This is the wedding gifts that you don't want to show off, but you're too ashamed to throw away because you never know when Aunt Peggy may show up. Where is the ice maker I gave y'all? Like, oh my God, it's the most important place we know of. Right up here.
Or the top. Yeah. Or the heirlooms that you got guilted into taking.
Yes, also those.
I have a full collection of those.
Also those. I say I gave them to Goodwill, and then I force them to like pick who's more important. Like, are you saying that giving things to people who can't afford them is bad? Make that call. Who's the bad guy?
All right. Let's see. Marissa is asking, would you say the full process is still 10 to 12 months? I'm sorry if you answered this already. We actually have not answered that yet. So thank you for asking. And yeah, that's still a good estimate on the process. That's kind of where we're tracking. So yeah. All right. The Twilight Stitcher is asking if you have any idea what building permit time looks like in Como County.
It's not crazy. If you're not in the floodplain, it's not that crazy at all. Floodplain administration takes a little bit longer, but yeah, Como County is not a place that we see, egregiously long permitting times. Any counties at all. It's usually cities, with the exception of Travis County. It's typically cities that we see that start to drag that out. And yeah, literally with the exception of Travis County. Yeah. Everywhere else is pretty vanilla. As long as you stay outside of the floodplain and you meet their county minimums for if you're putting a well and a septic on the same piece of property. So we're pretty little strange about that. So like Montgomery County, for example, they require 1.5 acres minimum for well and septic. Grimes County requires a 2-acre minimum for well and septic. So there's a few little nuances to that, but by and large, as long as you're meeting that, it's not a big deal. The 2 exceptions would be, like I said, if you're in a city or if you are having to go through a replat process. So if you are taking a 6 or 8 or 10 acre tract and carving out 1 or 2 or 3 acres of that's a process, and it has to be done. A surveyor has to be involved. They have to draw up new Mylars. They have to do the work. It has to go before the commissioner's court, has to be voted on, approved, yes or no. They may have revisions. So that could be a 3 to 5 month process if you have to replat. So something to consider.
Okay. Marissa is asking, is it costly to extend the cabinets to the ceiling?
I mean, that's up to you. If it's to me, no. And because you're not talking about a lot of lineal feet. So cabinetry is done by the lineal foot, and you're really only talking about usually a 1 or 2 foot tall cabinet. And so, for a whole kitchen, you may be talking less than, $3,000, which again, it's difficult to do later and make it match. Actually, it's impossible to do later and make it match. But it's more costly than, kind of what I recommended about getting some trinkets that are from the area and putting it up there, so it really is, the better answer to that is how important is it to you? But I think you could probably get that done for less than $2,000 or $3,000, depending on the floor plan.
Okay, awesome. Caitlin is asking, why does the Palo Duro floor plan have the ceilings dropped above the kitchen cabinets? Could the ceiling be raised to accommodate the additional cabinets just discussed, or is this a structural component?
As far as I know, they're not dropped, but I'm going to look at it real quick because I've been wrong before. I was wrong once, I thought. Turns out I was right. What does it mean when it says something went wrong in SharePoint? Is that good?
It is dropped. So the ceilings are 9 foot above the cabinets, but they're 10 foot in the main part of the kitchen. Yeah, you can make them 10 feet, no problem. There's nothing reason to have those drop like that unless you just to take up the space. So yeah, it was just a design choice from drafting. They didn't want the dead space there, so I guess they just brought it down.
They
Because
really
that
fun,
that would
man.
have been my other suggestion. If like you don't like the open cabinet space because of like dust and all of that, you could fur down, which is what we did in the Polidoro. So
Okay, so they furred it down to 9 instead of a. So on a tip, okay. So there still is a foot of space
yeah,
above the cabinets, with the exception of the vent hood cabinet, but it's not all the way sealed. But yeah, it would cost
wonder if
nothing to take the furring out of there.
yeah. It might have been something like on the E, I could understand it because it might be a roof line thing, but I don't understand it in the other ones. So
Yeah, no.
they felt like it. Sometimes they do things.
Vibes.
Vibes. Um, and we've got Kathy saying, "Hey y'all, our build is coming along beautifully. Awesome. That's great to
It's
hear."
great to hear. Yeah, thanks for sharing.
And the Twilight Sister says this should be my last question. It does not
Don't
need to
make
be.
it so.
We are here to talk to you. Is the framing done with 2x4s or 2x6? And is the spray foam, is it open cell or closed cell?
Wonderful. So really, it's 2 questions, just so we're all clear. But allow it, and I'll allow more. So first, answer your question. Our typical framing is 2x4 framing, interior and exterior walls. There are a few exceptions. Some of your plumbing walls, exterior walls, where there's dryer vents, plumbing, different, commodes, things like that, showers. That said, you're not gaining anything to go to a 6 wall. Structurally, especially where you're building out, like you're not gaining anything with the full OSB wrap.
Mhm.
All you're doing is losing living area to go 2x6. That said, we have a price. Any sales consultant can price out for you to go to 2x6 exterior walls, no problem. I'm not going to put a price on what it costs you to sleep better at night. Every Tilson home I've ever built for me and my family, 2x4 walls. So, and as far as I know, they're all still standing, but I only own one. So I don't speak for what the crazies did after the fact. Okay.
Fair enough.
Spray foam. Open cell or closed cell. We use open cell spray foam insulation. The reason for that is because of how tight the house becomes, the envelope itself. So the open cell is a much better option for that, because you will know if you have any kind of roof leak, if there is kind of moisture building up, it will be able to dissipate out. Closed cell, that's not the case. Closed cell is technically more energy efficient. I will concede that point. I will also concede that it's typically used in a commercial construction. So like the big like strip malls you see, where you might see
Mhm.
your Starbucks and a frozen yogurt place and whatever goes into strip malls. But they're not sealed like airtight.
Right.
That's a good application for closed cell insulation. But again, their front doors aren't sealed. Their back doors aren't sealed up. Like, they don't have the same energy code as a single family residence. And so it helps with sound deadening, with energy insulation to do it with closed cell. It's too big of a risk in single family residential construction to do closed cell. If you do have some kind of a leak somewhere, whether it's a wall leak, roof leak, something like that, you will not know until your family is coughing and sneezing and having some side effect issues. Whereas with open cell, I can go up in the attic, boom, I can see a stain where water is coming through. I know there's a leak there, or somewhere within the 7-foot radius of that spot, and I can go to work on it. And you get enough of the energy efficiency boost. And what I mean by that is tightness of the home. So where a house, a conventional, the way the code will allow, in the North Texas areas, maybe 3 air changes per hour. Gulf Coast and South Texas area, San Antonio, that's up maybe 5 air changes per hour. We're hitting regularly less than 2 air changes per hour on almost every home that we build using the open cell spray foam insulation, which means that air that you're paying to heat and, more importantly, cool, which is what you're doing 9 months out of the year, is not escaping out of all the various cracks and crevices underneath your toe plates, above your top plates, around windows, around doors, through attics. Because the entire envelope, including the rafters above the attic itself, are completely and totally sealed up with that open cell spray foam. So for me and my money, 2x4 walls and open cell spray foam, and there's really no better way right now to.
And cabinets to the ceiling. All right. We've got Julie saying, I love my above the cabinet decor. Awesome. Share with us what you did.
There you go.
And then we've got Brad asking, what brand of Loadcenter do y'all use?
So, Brad, we actually don't spec one out. We kind of leave that up to our electricians, whether we're doing a 200 amp or 320 amp or 400 amp service, depending on the house. So sometimes it's going to be, whoa, I got blurry.
Yeah,
I
you
did
moved too
not. Y'all
fast.
did.
You moved too fast for the camera.
I did. You know me, like a reflex of a mongoose. So we've got. I've seen Siemens used. I've seen Square D used. To a lesser degree, a GE is used, but in those cases, like it's not. It's a pretty common brand name. It's not some off the cuff. Oh, but there's one that starts with a C that I've gone blank on, and I'm about to sneeze, so you have to endure that here for just a second. Stand by.
Bless you.
Did I mention pollen? Okay, so that's that, and also at that load center there is a surge protector for the home, so that's required by the code currently. So you're going to have that, but yeah, it does. Campbell Hosfield, maybe. I think that sounds like an air compressor, though. More importantly, but anyway, it's going to be a name brand load center. Again, we don't specify what they have to use. We just specify that the load center itself and the breakers that go in it have to match. But Siemens I've seen used quite a bit. So.
Okay. All right. Angela is asking, do we get to keep all the leftover material?
This is a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Solid silverish gold-plated star. So the contractual answer to the question is you own all the material once you close that went into building the home itself. And the material left over outside of that is technically our property. It did not go into the building of that home. So if there's excess stone, excess brick, excess lumber, hardy plank, things that are still in good working order that can be hauled off and we can get store credit for, or we can use on the job site, technically it belongs to us. You paid us for everything that goes inside your Paladura or Angelina or Canyon or whatever. That's the legal answer.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything we're going to want to take back. Yeah. Okay. Now, we are obligated to haul everything out of there. But my suggestion to people is get with your building superintendent and say, hey, is that being returned to a vendor for store credit, or are y'all just going to throw that in the dumpster and haul it away and go from there? Yeah. I mean, stone's a great example. We typically do give people the option, unless it's just like an excessive amount, in which case my brother Chris would have lots of questions why we had so many tons of stone left over. Like, did we miss a side of the house? What's going on here? But that's something that we're going to be like, hey, if you want to use this later on for landscaping or road base or whatever, we'll leave it. Otherwise, we will haul this off, because you hauling this off yourself is going to be a job. Mm-hmm. So that's typically how that goes. The most important things I typically see that we're going to return. So hardy plank, lumber, especially like the larger pieces, 2x12, 2x8s, 16, 18, 20, 22 foot long pieces of that. Those we do get store credit from our vendor, and we'll be returning them. Sometimes they ship too much. Sometimes we order too much. But that is technically ours until we nail it up in your house. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense, Tom?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. All right. Angela says, I'm sorry, Julie says that they're so good at what they do, there's not a lot of leftovers. So that is the goal. That is definitely
our redneck version is we hope to not have enough lumber left over to build a doghouse with. That's the plan. Like if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, we should be that dialed in.
Absolutely. And then Carolina is asking, which location in Texas do you have most of your model homes available? So we're going to have at least two model homes available at all of our locations. Sometimes we've got, situations like the Spring office and the Weatherford office where one of them might be under construction. But typically we're going to have 2 to 3 at every single one of our locations. Waco is probably the only one that I can think of offhand that actually does have the full 3. So they have the Angelina, the Tampico, and the 2-bedroom casita at that location, but all the other ones are going to have at least 2 that you can look at. So it's really whatever home you're looking to see. And typically we try to do one larger home and one smaller home, so you can kind of get a sense of the 2 sizes, of the different sizes available. Let's see. Taylor is asking, can you talk about Rockwool insulation? Is that something Tilson can do instead of spray foam?
I can. It is so it's not going to have the same sealing factors as spray foam, open cell spray foam specifically, because that's all we're talking about using. So traditionally, Taylor, what you're battling is in where we live, the climates in which we build, it's hotter than it is cold 9 to 10 months out of the year. This is a pretty fair assessment. You might have the exception if they're in North Texas. Maybe you may have the full 9 months of heat and the full 3 months of cold-ish, depends on the year. But all that to say that, so what you're really battling is not so much trying to keep high R value stuff, is trying to keep the cold from penetrating into your home. Wyoming, Colorado, North Dakota, Minnesota, that kind of stuff. That's not a problem we face in the areas of Texas in which we build. I'm excluding the Panhandle. We don't build there. But in the areas of Texas that we build, what we're really trying to do is that money that you're spending running that compressor of the air conditioning unit for 9 to 10 months out of the year, how do we prevent that from leaking out of your house? And I think people take it for granted how much, like, even though your house looks sealed up, you can't see out of it. Like, every single sheetrock seam on exterior wall, every exterior corner, every toe plate, so where the lumber touches the slab or touches the second floor, every top plate that we drill through to run your electrical, your plumbing, all that kind of stuff, every single one of those penetrations is a space for that. Every outlet, every light fixture, every one of those is a place for that air that you paid to cool to escape out. And so the real goal is to, how do we prevent that air from escaping? And the best way to do that is to seal that house up, seal the envelope up, and that's with spray foam insulation. So Rockwool is, it's good insulation. It will insulate the home. It's typically, if you want to know, it's sheathed already, so it's actually attached to the sheathing of usually your OSB or even drywall in some cases. It's already attached to it, so it's not typically as thick. Sometimes it can be. If you're using a 2x6 wall, it would be that. But mainly speaking, it doesn't do what we're trying to accomplish, which is prevent that air that you're paying to heat and, more importantly, cool, from escaping out of there. So, it doesn't typically, it has typically about the same R value, sometimes even more R value, but R value is not really the key to energy savings in our neck of the woods. I could put R48 insulation in your attic, spray it in there, and air can still penetrate through that. Like, it's not airtight. It's not watertight. It's not airtight. So it doesn't matter how much insulation I stack in there. It's only going to get so cold in your house, which is by United States standards, not very in where we live, South Central United States. So to me, it's still a spray foam solution all day. I like the rigidity of the Rockwool, but it's I don't see it as beneficial where we're building.
Okay, that makes sense. Rob is asking, is brick more expensive than stone?
Almost never. In fact, I can't think of it as where it is. So brick's going to be a little bit less. Mostly, Rob, because it has to do with the stone has to be harvested, right? So stone, you have to go into a quarry. There's a lot of big, heavy equipment. You have to cut it out into big slabs. You take it to a quarry. They quarry that stone into whatever, 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch, or flagstone. So somebody has to do that. Sometimes it's hand chisels. Sometimes it's done with a saw cut machine. So you've got the harvesting of it and then the cutting it up. Whereas with brick, they truly just dial it in on a machine. The standing up a plant is no joke. Like, it's expensive to stand up a plant, an Acme brick plant. But once that thing is stood up and going, I mean, you take clay, you mix the colors together, you run it through a kiln, you load it onto cubes, you load it on a truck, and out the door it goes. You don't have to harvest it, take it to a different place, cut it up into the usable pieces that can actually be handled by hands, and then palletize it, then put it on a truck, then ship it to the job site. So there's more phases. Yeah. Also, stone is more finite. When you harvest a quarry and that quarry's gone,
that's it.
That's it.
All right. Let's see. Kathy's saying that a doghouse to match our house would be super cute. So talk to your builder. If they've got leftover materials, I'm sure they'd be happy to leave that.
And every builder can be murdered on.
Or I'm assuming a small doghouse.
Right.
If we got whole pallets of hardy plank for some reason, that's going back. I'm sorry, but yeah. If it's just a little bit, we can probably find you some extra pieces. There's probably some pieces we cut that you can use. Austin is asking if there are store credits from returned materials. Are those credits passed on to
Great
us?
question, Austin. Very good. So the answer is no, because we've charged you for what's going on in the house, truly. So an example of that would be, let's say that we ordered 20-foot 2x12s for some instance, for headers over your garage, or for that's usually Versaland is a bad example, but let's say we did that, and let's say the vendor shipped, let's say we ordered 10 20-foot 2x12s, and the vendor shipped 10 20-foot 2x12s and 6 22-foot 2x12s. Why they would do that, I don't know, but I can tell you it happens not infrequently. You paid for the ones that we're using inside your home. That's all we ordered on the PO was what's inside the home. The fact they shipped extra is on them. We're going to refute that bill. So when that bill comes in for the next 30, 60, 90, 120 days, which is what you don't have to fool with, we do, we're going to dispute it and be like, no.
We didn't order that.
We ordered these. We did not order those. We had you come pick those up. So we're disputing invoice number 14627. And we're not paying that. We'll square up next time. So that's a great question. But in those cases, it's stuff that we literally haven't used on the house and had no intention of using on the house. But that's a really wonderful question.
All right. We've got Deborah sharing. These videos are so great. I learned at least one new thing with everyone. Thank you for doing these. Oh, thank you. Thank you for watching. And then Brad is asking, do y'all use OSB with house wrap or Huberwood zip system?
I am a OSB with house wrap all day, every day. I'll tell you why. Nothing wrong with Huberwood zip system. We've actually built homes with that. We will price out a home with that if you're interested in doing that. My issue with that is the tape that is used for the application, the applicator, which they used to include, by the way. They don't anymore. You have to go find your own, but literally it's its own little specialized roller that they require that you use on every seam.
And it stamps the seam, doesn't it?
It stamps the seam. Yep, stamps the seam to prove that it was sealed. And you have to pray that no sand got on the tape. Whereas I can walk up to a piece of Tyvek that goes over OSB, and I can, if it's torn, no problem. You can take a piece of Tyvek tape over it, done. You're in compliance. So for us and where we're building, which is 91% is rural, like on a county road, on a dirt road, like we're not building in a subdivision. We're not, the streets aren't already there out of concrete or asphalt. The driveway is not already there, like you see in a master plan community. Like in those applications, I can see some advantages to the Huberwood zip system, because you're delivering the material, you're drop shipping it, it's on concrete, it's not going to be exposed to a lot of dirt and mud until it rains, the wind blows. But on our job sites, it's usually dirt or mud all the way around. I do not trust the tape system and the applicator in those instances. You're not going to get a good seal. At least one of the homes I know of that we did with the zip, we ended up, after the first rain that came, while it was in zip system, in dry in stage, water was inside the house. We wrapped the whole house in house wrap. I mean, so we saved the customer saved nothing. Well, we didn't charge the customer to do that. We saved nothing in doing that. We just didn't have the trust that it was going to long-term prevent water damage from coming in. And again, that has a lot to do with just the physical nature of the job sites that we build on. It has nothing to do with an inferiority to the Huber zip system. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's where we build.
Yeah.
Off County Road 248, down a dirt road, through a rock driveway. You get sand on that tape, dirt on that tape, and try to make it stick. It ain't gonna stick.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And if you ever had a piece of Tyvek tape, you can't get it off of you. What happened here? That's what happened. This is Tyvek. It sticks to everything.
Awesome. All right. We've got Ad saying, if we know we are going with Tilson, but will not be building for a few years, is it possible to get some guidance from Tilson regarding site prepping, i.e. well site location placing of the home on site, construction road, etc.? Or should we just wait until we're ready to build?
No, we'd love to come help you out. Yeah, we can do that. That's not a problem, Ed.
Right. Awesome. All right. And then we've got Brad asking, are the vinyl plank floors floating floors, and what sort of backing do you use?
Actually, usually, Brad, on the vinyl plank, the backing is typically attached to the back of the vinyl plank. Some are waterproof, some are not, but we still typically have to float the floor, which so that it's bags of really, really loosely poured cement to level the floors out. If there's any low spots in the foundation to keep from the clicking noises or the popping noises. But most vinyl plank floors that we see, with few exceptions, are floating floors. There are some glue down vinyl plank floors, but we're going to do whatever the manufacturer specs say to do. So if the manufacturer specs say float it and put you're talking about, in a lot of cases, laminate has like a pad underneath it, an actual pad. So laminate floor is different from vinyl plank, which is different from engineered wood, which is different from real wood. And that's kind of your escalation of cost. So you got laminate, vinyl plank, engineered wood, real wood. That's the scale. So in those cases, but in all those cases, with the exception of probably laminate, we're going to put down a float of some sort, a concrete cementish type float. It's going to be sanded down. Great day to not be there. And then we'll put down the vinyl on top of that. And most of our vinyl plank floor options are floating floors. And then if not, if you prefer glue down, I prefer glue down myself personally, because I don't like the clicking. I don't know why. Probably some childhood trauma. We'll get to that one day. But I like glue down floors. But it's not required on vinyl plank flooring in like 80% of cases.
Okay, awesome. All right, and that is the last question I see. So I'm going to say last call for questions. If you guys have any left, start typing.
Perfect timing. Okay, so obviously the journey doesn't have to end here. We have a website open 24/7 that we have staffed with new home specialists set to answer your high-level questions, set those appointments for you guys in our sales centers, which we have 12 of, by the way, all of which have model homes. Some more than one. They'll all have 2 here pretty quick. And then some may have none here pretty quick. Who knows? But that's there for you
just
guys.
Temporary. Then you get to watch construction when there's none.
Stop in, have a cup of coffee. We'd love to hear from you guys. We have Instagram. We got Facebook. We got YouTube with hundreds of hours of content. We have another question from Charlie. We'll get into that here in a second.
Yeah.
What else do we have, Dawn? We got the website. We got the sales centers. We got Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
We got in-person seminars.
Where are those at?
There are actually 4 happening this weekend. So we're going to have they're all doing a different topic. So browse the website and see what you're interested in if you're up for a drive. But we're going to have seminars in our Georgetown location, our Republic Grand Ranch location, the Melissa office, and the I missed one, the Katy office. Okay. Are going to have them. So yeah, it was great. Like I said, all 4 of them are a different topic this time. So it'd be good to go check out. We've got construction happening. We got finance happening. We got land prep, and then we just have the general business on your lot. So lots of different topics.
We are experts in all of them.
Yep. Going to be awesome. Sweet. And I'll drop a link to where you guys can register for those on our website if you want to go look, and you can see what else is happening, because most of our locations have them every single month, so you can see the full schedule from now through this time in May. And then let's see, Charlie's question. He was saying the brick on the Brazoria was painted. How durable is that long term? What kind of paint and any potential issues on painted brick?
Great question. So the answer is yes, it is painted. It is a highly specialized product. You cannot just roll out with a 5-gallon bucket of whatever paint from Sherwin-Williams or whoever. We're not putting typical Sherwin-Williams exterior paint on that. No, they literally have their own exterior concrete and masonry products. So they have protective concrete coatings and waterproofers, decorative concrete products. Like it is not just your roll into the box store or whatever and buy a gallon of paint and get after it. It has a sealer in it. It is an actual coating, which is a different word than paint. It is a coating that is designed specifically for masonry, because masonry is porous. So masonry, it can hold water. And so this seals it up. We found it to be very durable. This is the first model that we've painted the brick on. We have the Fredericksburg is painted. The Fredericksburg has been painted for a couple years now, and it's holding up fine. We also painted the Angleton, the actual sales office, not the models, but the sales office. And Charlie, it's not too dissimilar from what's used on stucco. So stucco has an elastometric paint on it. Same thing. Stucco is concrete. So it's a concrete scratch coating that you paint, and so it has to have a elastometric. In other words, it has to have some elasticity to it, because it literally shrinks and swells a little bit. The same is true of masonry, of brick or stone. When you try to paint it, it has to be a different kind of coating. So very durable, and cost significantly more than your regular exterior paint color to do. But it's a look. Hey, every Whataburger has it. So, what are you going to do? You got white Acme brick, and it ain't white. It's painted white. So.
All right. Awesome.
Great question. Okay, well, folks, thank you for joining us. Obviously, like I said, join it in here. Send us a message. We'd love to chat with you guys, either through Facebook, through Instagram, through the website, YouTube, any of those mediums. Come to the design centers. We'd love to hear from you. Call the number on this or chat with us. You can text with us. Right? We don't chat. We text. Like real humans.
Yeah, real humans.
Chat with no AI bot, not here at Tilson Homes. You're talking to real people. So we'd love to hear from you. We hope that you got something out of this, and we genuinely soon hope to make you part of the Tilson family. We'll see y'all later.
Bye, everybody.